Welcome back to Murphy's Diesel. I feel like we've got some stuff we need to discuss after the last video. So I'm inviting you guys to ride along with me today. We'll have a discussion about some things that were said in the last video, or I'll talk about some things that happened in the last video and you guys can listen. So stand by. It's gonna be a busy day. Boy, I'm a black ram driving son of a bitch, huh? Boy, I got these rigs laying around everywhere, huh? I know what you're thinking. Wrecker Rick, why can't you put your seatbelt on and stop that dinging? It's not what I was gonna say, but I know that's what you guys are thinking. The reason I know that is because I know my audience so well. The answer is I'm just going down the street. But anyway, I know what you're thinking. Wrecker Rick, why do you live in a subdivided neighborhood? It's a long story. Luckily, we got all day to discuss it. There I was a new towing company owner. I lived on a ranch, and then I moved into town. I had nowhere to live. Me and Mrs. Wrecker Rick said we'd live in a toy hauler for 3 years, save enough money to build a house. We bought this property over here, built a house. When I built the house, it was supposed to be for resale. So we found a sought after place in the neighborhood. There was no houses there at the time. We were gonna build a house and we were gonna flip it. We were gonna sell it. Little did I know that my towing company was gonna blow up and I was gonna be so busy towing, working recoveries that I wouldn't have time to build another house. Fast forward, we've lived in that house for 7 years. We sold it today. We got 3 weeks to get out of it. I've got 2 more houses that are going up right now. And that's where we're at. We got to do a couple things here this morning. We got to snap some lines for the walls, and we got to snap some lines to where they're going to cut the tiles because we're going to leave raw concrete floors in the house. We're building these 2 houses. We've had this property for a while. We're building this house down here and this one right here. I did all the foundation on it. We partnered up with Natural Edge Custom Homes. The guy that owns Natural Edge Custom Homes, I grew up with him, was born and raised with him. Basically my best friend. He's not here yet, but at this point he comes in, then he'll frame it out for me, do all the siding, I'll hire roofers. I've already had the plumbers come in. Concrete laydown guys. That's the garage. They're pouring it today. And that's my dirty old hoe. Is that an old Indian trick?
It is an old Indian trick.
They snap the lines down with a chalk line and then you spray in a clear coat over it so the lines stay. It's an old Indian trick. There's the big boss man. Rolling in at 9 o'clock. Must be nice being a banker. You brought breakfast?
Yeah. That's my job these days.
Do you treat all your people that way?
You got to, if you want anybody to work.
I'm working for Ron today. Natural Edge Custom Homes, folks. This is Ron.
Hello. We got burritos.
We grew up together. Born and raised together.
Lucky him.
Well, a concrete truck made it. Only an hour and a half late. We also don't tow their trucks. What house will I be moving into, you ask? With my 5 daughters and wife? Stand by. We'll drive over there right now. Before all you haters give me a ration for not having my seatbelt on, it's on. This is South Camp. Me and my dad bought this ranch about 3 years ago. And this cabin was built in the early 1900s, late 1800s. I'm not exactly sure the dates. My dad just recently remodeled it. So this is what we're gonna be moving into for about 3 months till we get our other houses done. Completely off-grid. Solar panels, propane generator. There's the OG Wrecker Rick working on the barn. That barn was built the same time as this house. A lot of history. Let's go check the well out. OG Wrecker Rick, 70 years old, and he sided that barn by himself. Took all the old siding off of it, all the old windows out of it, all that stuff. Man's a machine. Y'all want to see a picture of my dad's old wrecker? Pretty cool. It's like a early 60s Mack cab over with a 750 Holmes on the back of it. I'd like to find it, introduce it back into my fleet. That would be really cool, huh? He sold it somewhere in New Mexico years ago, early 80s, late 70s, something like that. Maybe around Tucumcari or Albuquerque. If y'all have ever seen this truck, let me know because I want it. You could still see the old siding on the barn that used to be on there. And it had like a wainscot, had rock around the bottom of it. It was kind of cool. It's all rotten and everything, so my dad's stripping it off. My dad owns this half of the ranch and I own the other half of the ranch. Dad will go to the half that I own today. I don't have anything on it, it's just bare land. I'm building a house over there. Nothing really to see unless y'all want to see a foundation. Oh, what's that? Oh, okay, alright, you asked for it. First, let's stop by the well. Check that out. I think it's pretty cool. Y'all probably think it's pretty cool. It actually used to have a windmill. The windmill's not operational anymore. We use a electric submersible pump now. It's actually hand stacked rock. It's like a cistern, hand dug well. Still produces water. It's what we use for water out here. 100-year apple tree. There's the old windmill. It still works, it's just not hooked up. See, the shaft still goes up and down, so it'd pump water if we had a pump on it, but we have a submersible electric pump now. This is a cistern right here that I'm standing on top of. This is where we get our water from. Oh yeah, she's full of water. Well, obviously I didn't bring y'all out here to talk about cisterns and pumps and water tanks and windmills. Y'all are probably wondering what happened on the DPS contract. I'll tell you, what happened was DPS got wind that we were filming our recoveries. It's in our contract that we're not supposed to film our recoveries. Now we could film them, but we can't put them out on social media. We're well within our rights to film them. We still film them. We just don't put them out on social media. And the reason we don't is because they asked us not to. They didn't really have a good reason why, other than it's in my contract. We actually got kicked off the contract for 45 days because we were filming them, even though other towing companies film them. But hey, that's none of my business. What is my business is my own recoveries that I film on the side of the road. And I know we didn't film fatalities, we didn't film the officers, we didn't film any stuff like that. In the contract it states that I could have written approval to film my recoveries. They denied me written approval, not sure why. I went down to Phoenix, sat down with the manager of the tow program, talked to him about it. They were not interested in giving us written approval. Honestly, we had already started not filming the highway recoveries because I watch my analytics religiously. And the reason I do that is because I want to give you guys what you want. And according to the analytics, the highway recoveries weren't that popular. With that being said, we still do highway recoveries for the public. We do them for other law enforcement agencies. It's not just DPS. So when I said that I just mean we're not doing them for DPS. We're still doing them for other agencies. So you guys still see us doing highway recoveries, just not as many as we used to. This happened like 6 months ago that DPS told me I couldn't film my recoveries anymore. Honestly, you guys have still been watching. You just noticed when I said something about it. For those of you that aren't going to watch anymore because I don't do highway recoveries, well, bye. Because if you're just here for the highway recoveries, we're not just a highway recovery channel. We do a lot of different stuff. And I really don't want a divided audience anyways. So if you're just here for the highway recoveries, adios. I would like to thank the people that are here for more than just the highway recoveries. For everybody that gave us support when they thought that we wouldn't be doing highway recoveries anymore. They still stuck around and said, hey, we're not here just for the highway recoveries. Thank you guys. Thank you for my loyal subscribers. But with that being said, we're still doing highway recoveries. We will continue doing highway recoveries, and we'll continue filming them and putting them on social media, just not for Department of Public Safety. In fact, the video that I went to Oregon to deliver the guy's load for free and tow his truck back to Phoenix, I put a highway recovery in that video. That wasn't a DPS highway recovery. The recoveries that we're putting out are not DPS recoveries. They're a different law enforcement agency, or the customer called us for the recovery, and we still film those. How about this well, huh? Pretty neat stuff. Some good news, Hellboy's completely done. Winches are ready to try out. Let's head on over there and try Hellboy out. Let's go see if we could get into some mischief. On our way out, I'll show you my ranch. Most of our DPS recoveries are the same recoveries over and over. And how many of y'all want to see a tractor trailer laying on its side and me rolling it back over fully loaded? Like, you can only see that so many times. After a while, they all look like the same wreck. I'd like to change it up. And then the other thing is 85% of those recoveries are at night. According to our analytics, y'all don't like the night recoveries either. I don't blame you. You can't see nothing. This is my half of the ranch right here. That's the OG Wrecker Rick's cattle on my ranch. Well, I'm gonna have to have a talk with them and probably get slapped in the head. Just kidding, there's no fence there to divide the ranch. Ranch is basically the same ranch. I just own half of it, he owns half of it. Him and my mom used to sit at the gate of this ranch and eat hamburgers from Dairy Queen and Williams and just dream of the day they could own this ranch. About 3 years ago, we made that dream come true. He always said when he bought this ranch, he wanted to put a house over where the headquarters of the ranch are, by the cabin and by the barn over there. And we went in partners with him. It worked out great because I wanted the north side of the ranch. It's completely vacant. There's nothing on it. The only thing that's on it is a couple of old Indian ruins and this cow tank right here. 100% off-grid, no power out here. We got our own water, own power, everything you need. And lots of guns for when them city folk try to come after us and take what we got. Nothing against city folk. I love you guys. Just saying. I know y'all are thinking, this is where you're gonna come. Y'all are welcome here. You're just gonna have to earn your keep. That's my water wagon, stainless steel, no big deal. Water tastes better out of a stainless steel tank. We do have to haul water sometimes here, just because I don't have a water line around over here yet. And we actually have stayed here before. Well, that opens up another can of worms. That's a story for another time. That's a story for this time. So let's just get on into that. It's a fun story. It's a Cinderella story, really. It's a story of how I got into YouTube. I hope you got a minute, because it's going to take a few. We lived out here the winter we started YouTube. You know, I was sitting in the dentist office. The dentist asked me if I was into towing and recovery. I said yes. He's making small talk. He said, man, that's so cool. He said, do you guys do off-road recoveries? I said, yeah, of course. He said, oh my heck, that is so awesome. And he said, have you ever heard of Matt's Off-Road? And I hadn't. And I said, no, I have never heard of Matt's Off-Road. He said, you need to check these guys out. And me, you know, being the guy I am, was never into social media whatsoever. I left that dentist office, walked outside. When I got in my truck, I looked up Matt's Off-Road, and I seen how many people enjoyed his videos. And I thought instantly that I could grow my channel beyond limits because I did so much cooler stuff, so much bigger stuff, bigger recoveries. You know, I called a friend, and let me tell you, I don't think that anymore. You know, those were the old days. That was the old Wrecker Rick. I have been humbled since, because YouTube is a fickle... I've realized that those guys have a way with people. They have a way of talking to people. They have a way of capturing their audience. That is something I have not mastered yet. So I give those guys all the respect in the world. So I walked outside. I called my friend Gabe. Y'all remember Gabe? And said, hey, I know you're into making videos. How about coming to work for me and filming me doing recoveries? We'll blow this thing up and we'll be bigger than anybody. We'll have millions of subscribers, millions of views. And he just kind of laughed a little bit, but he was on board. He said, yeah. He said, send me a couple of your videos. Let's check them out. So I sent him a couple. He called me back and he said, hey, have you ever heard of Diesel Brothers? I said, no, and because I hadn't. He said, check these guys out. So I checked them out. Instantly, after watching them, I got cocky and was like, oh yeah, we're going to just be huge. We're going to be a big deal. Like I said, YouTube is very humbling. I do not think that anymore. I have been humbled by YouTube. YouTube has changed my life ever since. You know, a lot of you notice on the early stages when I was a cocky guy in the videos, just thought that I was going places. I was the next big thing, and all because I did big recoveries. And it's not about doing big recoveries. It's about, knowing your audience. And I feel like I get to know you guys more and more every day with every video. And that's what I want to do. I want to know my audience. I want to be good at knowing my audience. This channel is not all about recoveries. This channel is about what you guys want. It's about what I want. It's about what I want to film and what I want to share with you guys. And I don't want to just share highway recoveries with you guys. I want to share everything I do in my life that I'm proud of with you guys. That's what we're doing here. All right, I'm getting way off track. Gabe moves out here. Gabe would not move into a toy hauler. Gabe's wife would not move into a toy hauler, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything bad about Gabe and his wife. I'm just saying they wouldn't do it. So me thinking this thing is going to blow up and it's going to be a huge deal and this is going to be my Cinderella story, I volunteered to move my family, my 5 girls, into a toy hauler, my wife, and I volunteer them to do that without even asking them. I move out of my house, let Gabe have my house. I move into a toy hauler. We had the biggest winter we've ever had. We had snow on the ground the whole winter. We're living in a toy hauler out here. It was miserable. So that's how we started our YouTube journey off. A few months later, Gabe went back to being law enforcement, and we moved back into our house, and now we're selling it, and here we are. And we started building this house. That's where this house, me and Ron, Natural Edge Custom Homes, started building this house. It'll be a fortress when we get done. So we stopped building it because we moved back into our house and we started building 2 more houses to sell and make money. So this house got put on hold until the spring of next year. We will start building it again. By then we will have sold the 3 houses we got going in Williams. We can start building our fortress again. Pretty cool, huh? We're Ash Fork bound. Let's go check out Hellboy. This is the actual road in. We came in the back way from my dad's place. I'm going to put a roping arena and a barn right there. Because I don't just say I like to get Western. I literally do like to get Western. Then we're going to build a great big fab shop right there. Diesel Ranch is born. Maybe we'll start a new channel, Murphy's Diesel, Life Off Grid. What do y'all think? Comment below. I built this road when we started YouTube. I never did build an entrance. I just built the barbed wire gate. So I plan to put a huge entrance right here, just great big old iron gate, American flag gate, and all that stuff, and then it's going to be booby trapped to keep unwanted guests out. It's going to be slay, let me tell you. Well, I showed up to Ash Fork, and Diesel Boots is literally sitting on his...
That's all I ever do.
He's good at it. He gets paid to do it. Right?
Pretty much.
The winch line is not on the winches, so... You can imagine how pissed off I am. I don't look pissed off because I don't want to show that side of me, but I'm very pissed off. Check these gauges out. World's largest off-road wrecker's finally going to get some gauges so we know when we burn stuff up. De Niro is trying to put some rope in a hole.
It's
Probably the first time you've ever had that problem, huh?
Think that'll make it in?
With enough speed. We're gonna hook to this K-Whopper right here and see if it won't drag it. And we got a special guest today. Yeah, that's right, it's Heavy T. Heavy T has decided to take the day off from Flagstaff and grace us with his presence. Hellboy does not have any spades on the back of it. We want to build some spades or some Scotch blocks. We just haven't done it yet. If Hellboy's too light to drag this old K-Whopper, then we're going to anchor Hellboy off the front end of it and see what these winches can do. It's anyone's ball game at this point. That K-Whopper's got the brakes locked up, no front end. If it's too easy, then we're probably gonna get this excavator up here and this dozer right here and hook a couple of winch rings in between them, see who wins. Stand by. My new air clutches hasn't came in yet for those. We're gonna be using some of our new Bailey slings today. We got it rigged up. Hellboy is just purring like a kitten, ready to do some pulling. Stand by. It started dragging the semi till the front end started digging into the ground. Now it's just dragging Hellboy backwards. We need something to anchor the front of Hellboy to. I believe if Hellboy had some stiff legs, it might dig in a little bit more. The front end's just about to come off the ground. What we really need to do is put a winch ring on there, come back to a lower point so it doesn't try to pull the front end off the ground so much. I brought my little excavator over here to anchor to. Hopefully it holds. More Bailey slings and one of my Yankum winch rings. Putting her to use today. We got a lot more of these, so stick around. We might be getting more out. They're not just to stow your line. They're for when your line gets stuck, when it gets bound up, you can do this. You run your winch backwards and it pulls it out. When your synthetic line gets bound up, you can tie it off like that and run your winch backwards and it'll pull it out. Pretty slick, huh? We got the front end anchored now. Let's go pull on it a little bit now and see what it does. Pretty impressive, huh, folks? We were winching on idle the whole time. Really controlled, really slow. Idled old Hellboy up, and she eats. I think it's pretty impressive for a light-duty wrecker.
Definitely harder than my wrecker.
Do you think if you unhooked the front, it would come off the ground?
I don't know, go try it.
I don't know. It might. 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 It might
Hellboy's taking all that.
The whole weight of everything.
We just let the front winch off. Granted, I mean, you're not going to see much of this off-road. I realize that. I don't know, we do off-road semi-recoveries all the time. I mean, it's just showing you all what these winches are capable of, how fast they are on a high idle. That tractor is about 20,000 pounds, brakes locked up, and the front axle destroyed. About 14,000 pounds worth of line load on there. Split it in two, which ain't a whole lot for those winches. Still impressive how fast they are. We've got Hellboy set up. I've got this all rigged up. I got 4 Yankum winch rings on here, 3 Bailey slings on here, 4 Bailey soft shackles, and 2 of Yankum soft shackles. I got diesel boots running the controls because I don't have a remote set up on that truck yet. So let's see what happens. What can go wrong? Now the idea is to pull these two machines together, see how much force it takes. I don't have a load cell on there, but probably ought to invest in a load cell. We're gonna see if we could drag them together. The Komatsu hoe weighs 96,000. The Komatsu dozer weighs, I think, somewhere around 80,000. The dozer's moving. Here a while back, a lot of you folks on here said that these burn winch lines. I just would like to point out, I'm dragging an 80,000 pound dozer. You could literally see it in the camera as I'm pulling it, that it's not burning it whatsoever. Smooth. I set the brakes on the dozer. Things are about to get western. We hit our limit, had about 100,000 pounds on here, broke a soft shackle. I anchored the wrecker, and the winches were starting to stall, which was on their last wrap. They stall like right around 10,000. 10,000 times 10 parts, we had about 100,000 on there. Divided by 6, I had 6 shackles on here. The truck took 10,000 pounds. Each soft shackle had 15,000 pounds on it. Might have had a little bit more than that on there. Anyway, pretty impressive with these winch rings and those new winches. Drug a bulldozer with the ripper down, the mow board down. As soon as I set the brakes on it, started breaking stuff. I had about 90,000 pounds on it. Had about 10,000 on Hellboy. Hellboy breaks loose at like 10,000 pounds. And then we hooked the Crashcadia to the front of it and we started breaking rigging. Pretty impressive. My family's been working for DPS since the mid-60s. I can't speak for my granddad and my dad, but since I've had the contract, I've never turned a DPS call down. I turned one DPS call down, and I felt like the biggest piece of shit ever and never turned one down again. Basically, in turn, that makes us a disposal company. We're garbage men out here. So the rest of these companies will turn down calls. We never turn down a call. Doesn't matter if it's a burn, doesn't matter if it's an arrest, doesn't matter what time of day, what type of night. Anytime, we go get it. It doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if they're not going to pay. We go and get it because that's in my contract. I'm not supposed to turn calls down. So that makes us garbage men. They call us because they know we won't turn nothing down. We'll go get it, then we'll dispose of it, and it comes out of our pocket. We have $500,000 worth of unpaid bills right now that we haven't been paid on for wrecks that we've gotten off the highway. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. just to give you a little perspective of what reputable heavy towing companies go through. Another thing I like about these new winches is I could see them now. I could see them right here in the back. I could see what they're doing. My old winches, I couldn't see them because you couldn't look in there. Real nice. When I say we got $500,000 worth of wrecks that haven't been paid, I don't mean that law enforcement agency owes us $500,000. Here in Arizona, it's up to the person that owns the vehicle. It's their responsibility to pay the bill. The only problem is there's nobody here enforcing these people to pay their bills. We got 20 outstanding truck wrecks in the last 2 years that come to $500,000 and some change. $500,000 that we haven't been paid on by the insurance companies, or they're not covered by insurance. You got trucks running up and down the highway that aren't covered on insurance, or they're covered for a minimum of $5,000, and some of these truck wrecks cost $30,000, $40,000 to clean up, depending on what they're hauling, depending on how bad the wreck is. It doesn't say in my contract that I will get paid on this. When we go out to pick up a wreck, we go out without knowing whether we're going to get paid or not. Now the problem is you got other towing companies, and I'm not going to mention names, they just turn down the burn jobs. They say they don't have enough people to go out and do these burn jobs. And some of these towing companies have as much equipment as I have. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to go pick up a burn. And it's funny, they'll have trucks available if it's a easy wreck out on I-40 and it's for a big company like Swift or CRST, or then, oh yeah, no problem, we got trucks available, yeah, sure. The other problem is they don't get reprimanded. I'm not complaining, I'm just enlightening you good folks of YouTube. I mean, if I was complaining, I would have done something about it years ago. It's been this way since I've been in the towing. It just gets worse every year. Someday somebody will do something about it. Where the problem lies, if you ask me, is within insurance companies. The insurance companies are the ones that aren't being reprimanded to pay these bills. These companies, a lot of these trucking companies get insurance, and they put caps on their coverage. Well, I mean, it lies within the trucking companies and the insurance, but because the problem is trucking company will get insurance and they'll get the cheapest insurance possible. They think they're never going to wreck their truck. Then the next thing you know, they wreck 3 of their trucks in 1 year, total amount, and they got $30,000 wreck bills, and their insurance will only pay $5,000 because a lot of these big insurance companies put a cap on what they'll pay for towing. Well, it's not towing, it's a recovery. They like to play this card where the liability won't cover it, only the physical, because no one else was involved. And if you hire a lawyer and you go after them, it doesn't always work, because they say it's the trucking company's responsibility to pay it because they had a $5,000 cap. Trucking company says they don't have the money, they're out of business. And this doesn't just happen once, this happens all the time. That's why you got towing companies, if they know they're not going to get paid on a call, they just don't go do it. Well, the problem is law enforcement won't do anything about those companies. They just keep using them. And if you got a company like me that abides by the rules, well, then I take it and ask, because it's a rotation. I'll go do the rotation call, I'll go pick up the burn, and then the next call that comes in will be a big old badass wreck. I will have given my rotation spot up for a burn that I'm not going to get paid on, for them to get that big badass wreck. Happens all the time. And like I said, I'm not complaining, I'm just wrapping up some winch line, giving you good folks the inside and outs of the heavy towing industry. So if you're thinking about getting into the heavy towing industry, you probably shouldn't, unless you just love stress. Well, I'm on to the next one. You stay classy.